there's a saying that, your people will never take better care of the customer than you take care of them.
Amen.
And boy, is that true.
It's so true.
Don being nose to nose with me, and I won't repeat exactly what was said, but was told basically, you're a director in this company, start directing.
Yeah.
We're not going to lose $20,000 this year. We're going to lose $120,000 to $140,000. It's an honor and a privilege to be on this team, and if you can't respect that, you don't get to be on the team.
That's good.
And it's not to be harsh, but that's the way it is. And if you don't hold that standard, your culture will fail.
Yeah.
One bad leader can make an organization look completely different.
Wow, that's cool.
And I think that's the hard thing about larger organizations and even small. We've got 40 hours a week to influence and impact our people's lives.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing with those 40 hours?
Yeah. Welcome to The Forge. I'm your host, Ryan Miller. So good to be with you guys today. Welcome back to our listeners. So excited for you guys to meet our guest today. He's been involved in building some incredible companies that I've gotten to watch over the past few decades. And PBI has had the pleasure of working alongside some of the companies he's built. Cam Boyer, welcome to The Forge.
Thank you.
So good to have you here, man. It's truly an honor to have you here and have you invest some time in me. And you have done that in the past. And I've been watching your companies that you've been very intensely involved with. And I consider you a mentor. You've added a lot of value to my life, but not only to me, but I know that Matt Jarvis, our VP of Ops, you've mentored him and been a friend to him and coached him quite a bit, as well as Dean Grass, who we hired as a CFO. I don't know, 3 years ago, whatever that was, and you kind of invested some of your financial guru stuff into Dean's life, and I know he was grateful for that as well. So super grateful to have you here. You're held in very high regard as well by my brothers, my brother Kyle, who you know well, and my brother Darren as well. And so just watching what you've done, man, I feel like the podcast today, the episode for our listeners will be a bit different than normal, Cam, because we're this small mom and pop shop in the middle of the cornfield in northern Indiana, and trying to grow this business from, our listeners are many times growing this business from a small family HVAC mechanical company to electrical contractor to a welding shop, whatever that is. You have been on the other spectrum where you came into some companies that were massive or became massive very, very quickly. And so might be a bit different, but I think what we're going to get today is just a lot of gold and making sure that we're not thinking too small as companies that are growing and we're much smaller in scale. But I think you truly understand the word scale like I don't, and like many of our listeners haven't got a chance to see. So you're always humble, but I want to talk about what it was like to be on the front line or the cutting edge of scaling those businesses. And so before we start, introduce yourself a bit, your family, anything you want to share about you and your current life or your family. So yeah.
Cam Boyer, been a financial leader in companies for quite a few years, recently retired. Started out in public accounting for 10 years. Really enjoyed that.
Was that Crow or something like that?
McGladrey and Pullen, which is now RSM.
Ah, very good. Yeah, I know that name.
Was in public accounting for a year. And, I joke about my first annual review, which they didn't say it this way, but this is what was told to me hey, you're not doing that well. And, but we really need warm bodies. So we're going to hang with you for a bit and see if you, can catch on. And in some respects, I feel like I'm a little bit of a slow learner, but once I get it, I've got it. And, the other key thing there was I moved from the Elkhart office, which was a large office, down to the Goshen office, which was a small office, which was comprised of people who had families, and it fit me a lot better because I was right out of college, had our first child, and then within another 15, 16 months, had our second child.
Wow.
So when long days during the tax season were done, it was time for me to get home, not to stop and socialize with my peers. So that Goshen office fit me a lot better. And it's interesting how you see in a small environment, you see your impact and how that can really just motivate you to just dig in deeper and really go hard.
I love that. That's a really good point. A great point. You felt your need, or you were adding value in the Goshen office. Yeah. So how many people were in that office in that?
It's about 15 professionals and non-professionals total.
I actually think that we worked with the Goshen office for a short stint. We were a tiny company back in the 90s somewhere, but they helped us out with some things we were dealing with. I remember that. So you're married. You're out of college. You're married. You had 2 kids.
2 kids.
And how long have you been married now?
And first wife passed away when in our early 40s, and then remarried to Carrie, and now we've been married for almost 20 years.
Man. So how long were you married? How long you were married? You were in your 40s, so 20 years, 15 years?
Almost 20 years. Man. And then Carrie and I are working on 20 years now.
Man.
And
I'm sorry to hear that. That's tough.
Total of 6 kids and at present 12 grandkids. And
wow.
Yeah, I don't know how all that happened, but it did.
Like that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's already. I'm already feeling it because my oldest is is almost 21, and there's just so much happening. I mean, he's dating now, and I can see this phase is gonna move into marriage, grandkids really, really quickly for me, and I'm a little younger than you, so that's great. Well, thanks for sharing that. I think one thing people don't understand as much is, just so people get it, is the RV industry is huge here in our area. So we're in northern Indiana, but man, if you have a camper or motorhome, a fifth wheel, Class A, whatever it might be, good chances that's built right here in our backyard, right? So if you look, I mean, even the people you're probably working for back in those days were somehow connected to the RV industry in many cases. It's crazy. They're either on the sidelines building components, or they're actually building RVs, recreational vehicles of some kind. So just so everybody understands that dynamic is really big here, and it's how PWI really got started as well. But we're going to dive into your involvement in that industry a lot here today, so everybody understands that. So man, you're in your 20s. You spent a decade with McGladdery, so up until you were like 30 years old.
Yeah, early 30s.
So tell me what was that phone call? What was that trigger that got you out of that to your very first other role?
So really, I made some life changes based on all the wrong reasons, honestly.
Okay.
We spoke a little earlier, and I had a client that was at a private jet.
Yeah.
And very affluent, and frankly, in this small Goshen office, you'd go from doing audits on companies to personal tax returns.
Yeah.
And I noticed that everyone's tax returns that I did is the ones with the most commas owned manufacturing companies.
I love it. Yeah.
And so, out of sheer greed and desire to be wealthy, I jumped out of public accounting and chased my dream of having ownership in a small company.
Sure.
And the first company was Pollywood.
Okay.
And
what year would that have been?
That would have
early
been
2000s?
late 90s.
Late 90s. Okay.
And it virtually was on the brink of death. The bank had called the loan.
Man.
I helped obtain financing with another bank, and brought in an investor, which was Doug Schrock.
Yeah.
And then got a small stake in a company. And I'm just a poor kid. I have no money. And those were the days, fortunately, you could go to the bank,
Yeah.
borrow some money, and literally just sign a piece of paper. I would not have gotten the money I needed to be part of Pollywood today.
Yeah.
Unless I would have borrowed through other sources.
Right.
But
Hollywood, but wow, you just can't just glaze over that. Another massive success story, not RV related, but another huge customer of PBI's is Pollywood. They build poly furniture. If you Google Pollywood, it's massive. They're a $600-700 million company today. Incredible.
yeah.
So man, you were. I mean, so like Doug Rassey called you back in that day. Doug was the founder of that.
Doug Rassey and Mark Philibom were 2 years ahead of me in high school. I was trying to build my book of business in public accounting. So I called them and got to know them, started to know their business. And so anyways, jumped into that situation with Pollywood. And the interesting thing, and I like to tell this part of the story because it all seems so easy from the outside looking in. Well, it wasn't. I quit a decent job where I had a steady paycheck I could count on. Borrowed money from the bank and my parents. I used the home equity line to make the mortgage payment some months.
Wow.
And the first days we were in the office, Mark Philibom is sitting in another office, and he goes, "Oh no!" He goes, "There's only $5,000 of orders in here in this drawer." And I said, "Well, that's nothing. I just cleaned up the trial balance, and we're not going to lose $20,000 this year. We're going to lose $120,000 to $140,000." I never went home and told anyone how bleak that looked. I just laid awake at night and worried about it myself. But
you left stability over here and traded for some risk.
Yeah. Now the interesting thing is Pollywood. I always used to say that that product is so good that I'm a CPA and even I can sell it. But great company. It was about almost a 20-year journey till we sold to the first private equity group, and it continued to grow beyond that.
Were you because I mean, so all the years that I've known you, Cam, you were not at Pollywood, so I know that'll come into the story here, but were you in those years, the 20-year journey? Were you did you have a board advisory role? Did they invite you to an annual meeting? How did that work?
More of a board and advisory role. Doug Rassey really did an awesome job of building that company, and Mark Philibom knew the outdoor casual furniture industry very, very well. So those two guys really built that.
Yeah.
And then Doug stayed on with the company after the first sale to a PE group and did an amazing job, and he just recently retired as well.
Yeah. I've got not only do we do work for them, I've got friends, a number of good friends that are running operations there, and I hear a lot of just crazy, wild stories about orders, and just it's incredible what they're producing on a daily and weekly shipping on a basis. It's just scale. It's unbelievable, and it's not cheap furniture. I mean, a chair like we're sitting in today, and Adirondack chair or whatever is $600 or whatever. I said $400. It's not cheap. But it's the best quality. We have a patio set as well. We love it. I mean, it sits outside, lasts forever. And love that. So you're at. How long did you sit at Pollywood? Were you there in the office? Let's go to the next step there.
Really active on a more daily basis for the 6 to 9 months, and then at that point, the Schrock family purchased Starcraft Marine.
Okay.
And Doug said, "Hey, I'd rather have you at Starcraft Marine than at Pollywood." So he found a replacement for me at Pollywood. And then I went off to Starcraft Marine for another 10 years. My life at this point seems to be going in 10-year chunks.
Yeah.
Starcraft Marine. And then from Starcraft Marine, then went to Starcraft RV.
Okay.
After their CFO retired.
I see. What did you go to Starcraft RV to be? CFO?
CFO.
Okay. All right.
And really, at that point, I was controller.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
but you were kind of acting that at Pollywood for the 6 to 9 months, and then and with Doug's Schrock's involvement, you moved over to a Starcraft. We had a Starcraft unit, loved it. RV, and back to the RV subject, we've been camping for a few decades. Love it. So, So you're there, then you shift over to the StarCraft RV side where they make pontoons and
it was purely RVs. I thought I had a great spot in life, great balance between work and personal life. Money was solid, and then the Great Recession hits. Suddenly, we're closing down the whole division. StarCraft's owned by Jayco.
yeah.
And all the operations moved into Jayco's facilities, and literally all but a very small handful of people still had jobs at Jayco.
Or at StarCraft, you mean?
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
StarCraft brand still survived, but is manufactured by Jayco, and eternally grateful to the Bontraggers and Kent Yoder, who kept me in work at a really, really hard time. Went over to Jayco for not all that long, frankly, and then a spot opened up at Dutchman.
Okay.
And that's where professionally things really took a hard right turn for me. Went to Dutchman. If
Dutchman was that owned by so I want to glaze over what you said there because it's big. So you get through, you survive the '08 recession, which by the way for the RV industry was just absolutely brutal. For our community our community suffered probably more than most other communities in the country during that time. It was awful because RVs are an extra, they're not a necessity. So the sales dropped for everybody in our community. Jayco, the Bontrager family sucked up StarCraft, brought that, kept you hired there for a little while there through the recession. And then Dutchman RV is another RV company, and so they're currently still a privately owned company at that point.
No, they're owned by Thor.
They're owned by Thor. Okay, all right.
Honestly, Dutchman would have failed had they not been owned by Thor. At that point, then the Thor management brought Don Clark over to be the president from Keystone.
Okay.
Don is a pretty hard charging. Really highly successful guy.
Yeah.
His CFO literally quit within a week or so, I think, of when he came on board. I chased down that opportunity really quick. At that point, there were a lot of people looking for jobs, right? And, I'm pretty realistically, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, and I'm not the best at what I do. So my strategy was, I jumped all over that and got hired before they even talked to a second candidate.
Wow. Did you know Don at the time?
Did not know Don at all.
So Don was Don the president? I didn't know Don was actually at Keystone. So Don had been at Keystone as the president, or
no?
not?
He was running sales.
Running sales. So Don Clark, who's now everybody in the industry knows his name, but back then nobody probably did. So Don jumps into the president role, Dutchman. Pretty hard driving. Don is that way, but very successful. CFO leaves the spot open. Okay, all right, wow. And you saw that. You probably got a phone call or text about that and jumped on it.
Yeah, actually, there was a guy that was working on a commission-only basis that had been at StarCraft RV.
Okay.
And he called up and said, hey, heads up, there's a position open. So then I got after it, made some phone calls, and got a job there with Don. And Don was the president of Dutchman. Ron Fennick was the president of the Thor group, president.
Including Keystone.
Including all of the Thor RV companies. And, man, I never had been forced to perform the way I was there. And, I tell the story of Don being nose to nose with me, and I won't repeat exactly what was said, but was told basically, you're a director in this company, start directing.
Yeah.
Well, up to that point in my life, I was the accountant. I was keeping score.
Wow.
And so now I was told, hey, don't just keep score, but fix stuff.
Yeah. Direct. Tell the money where to go rather than wonder where it went in some ways there. Yeah.
And, for me, that was probably the most liberating day of my career.
Wow. Were you mad at him that day? He said that to you?
Yes, I was super angry.
Yeah.
I stayed angry with my office door shut and drove home and cursed at him all the way home. And finally kind of gathered myself that evening. The next morning I came in and I just said, "Hey, Don, I get it. I'll do better." So
Man, what a because I feel like that's a really that you probably aren't the typical CFO. I mean, and it's probably it might have been because of conversations like that with leaders like Don, right, pushing you to greater lengths. Are you 40 now at this point?
I am, probably I'm mid 40s.
Okay,
So, or early 40s. So at any rate, then, we actually do a great job of turning Dutchman around and grabbing sales. Really hadn't fixed the profitability problem.
sure.
So I learned something about creating more sales at Dutchman. But we had huge quality problems. Didn't really know how to change and affect that.
Yeah. Did Don look to you to influence quality and sales, like, or was there certain parts that he, as the CFO, he said, "This is your problem. I need you to focus on this." What did he ask you? What was he really demanding of you that day?
I would say I was probably closer to sales than I was in manufacturing at Dutchman, but still was getting exposed a lot to manufacturing. Really was intrigued by manufacturing because, it always was interesting to me how you get 150 people out on a shop floor and a unit's coming into the first station on Monday, and even by Monday night, there might be 30 units built, and that first one may be complete.
It's incredible.
And you think about it, it's pretty fascinating.
It's insane. Yeah.
So,
I'm not sure there's anything else in the world that's quite like the RV industry. I mean, if you haven't toured an RV plant, I've given many tours, just through walking through plants and showing people what we do and what you guys are doing. People from outside of our community, they freak out. Like it is incredible what can get done in one work day. I mean, 25 to 30 units on a smaller unit is not uncommon, right? Like it's insane.
Yeah, at Grand Design, we had Imagines and building 36 a day, and 8 of those 36 units that went offline complete that day weren't even on the production line at the beginning of the day.
Incredible. Because what you're saying, there's only 32 stations or whatever, or 30 stations, and it's incredible. Yeah, and if you don't understand the RV industry, what's really cool, and we get really involved with setting up these manufacturing plants is it's our passion, is what we love to do. But the units generally travel sideways down the line, so they travel sideways. The old days, there was some elephant style, which they called elephant style, which travels the way that the unit drives, but most of the time it's sideways down the line, and there's platforms and cranes and mezzanines that are bringing the product in, and these guys. What does that come out to? 36 a day, line move is every
line rolls 36 times every day.
And is that 12? What is that? 12 minutes? What does that math come out to?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. And,
it varies. But
the joke about me is I was a CFO, but I wasn't any good with numbers, so I can't tell you.
Love that. I'm sure Don reminds you of that.
But then Don quits, and Ron and Bill Fennick is Ron's brother.
Bill and Ron are brothers.
They quit and set out a 1-year non-compete to start Grand Design, and for me, this is like breakthrough sort of opportunity.
Yeah.
I was the easy button to become the president of Dutchman, and so I was president for 15 months.
Wow.
I always was like the closest advisor to the president in the roles that I served. So I thought I knew what that was like.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
I see.
You just moving over one seat, you realize that when you laid your head on that pillow, you had 1,300 people, 1,300 families counting on you.
That pressure's intense, isn't it?
And it got real very fast.
What year did you become president?
That would have been 2011 or 12, somewhere in there.
Did you feel was the market back
Market
It was definitely better than '08 for sure. But
market basically crashed in '08, '09, and then from there on, it was on a steady growth through like 2017, 18, 19, somewhere in there.
Yeah. So you're now wearing the president role. You're stressed out. At what point there did your wife pass away? Is that we got to be close to that same?
She passed away actually just before I left StarCraft, our Marine.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Sorry. That's a tough phase of life, right? Yeah.
And I guess that's one I would touch on real quick, because you talking about the hard stuff. Is that's one, if I had to do over, I would have done a little differently, because it felt like I was fighting for financial survival so hard that I not a great nurturing parent.
Sure.
I did not get that one right,
man.
And that one still haunts me to this day. But over time, the kids are forgiving, and
aren't they though?
Yeah.
Who of us is perfect and who's done it well? But hearing you say that though makes me want to dig in deep while I got them at home.
Yeah.
And spend the time. I have a 20-year-old down to an 8-year-old, and it's like he needs me. Like last night, he was all over. I mean, he wanted my time, and so I was trying to get ready for this morning shoot. I really was, and I was making notes for this morning, you try to. The work-life balance thing is a joke in some ways, but being present where you're at, where your feet are at, is so important. And I'm sure that the pressures you were feeling, you didn't always get it right, and neither do I. So man, that's very honest. But I like what you said though. The kids are forgiving, and man, if it wasn't for that, man, we'd be in big trouble. So you're now president of Dutchman. The pressure is high. Don's gone. Don's off doing his own thing, and I'm going to definitely talk about that story. But you're now president for the very first time in your life. What does that feel like to you?
Well, the first night when I was told I had the job, I went home and I'm sitting on the sofa going, "Oh, what do I do now?"
Yeah.
And finally calmed down. And it was like, "Oh gosh, this same thing you did yesterday." But at any rate, and this is a part of the story, and I feel like we're talking way too much about my career path and where I've been and what I've done. And
you're not. It's super interesting.
And where I really want to get is the lessons I learned along the way. And this is where the learning even accelerated even more. Mike Stout, who is in Thor Corporate, comes into the office one day and says, this is, as a Thor president, you're given autonomy to run this as you see fit. This is yours. Put your stamp on it. Whatever you want it to be, make it that. And the RV industry has a reputation for basically just it being about winning, success, money. Mm-hmm. And I became addicted to this notion that you can win and win big and leave a good footprint. And about the same time, my son's going in the military, and I don't think I'll offend him with this comment, but he was pretty wayward at that point. And watched him get into the Army, and literally within a few months, he's loading up on a plane to go to Afghanistan.
Wow.
And part of a high-functioning team where they are depending on each other for their lives. And I started getting intrigued about, how does the Army do this? Mm-hmm. So that was really when I started looking at leadership and going, what is this, and why is it so important? And, previously I'd just been a boss.
Yeah.
At the same time, we were doing some lean manufacturing, had a couple gentlemen in from Airstream who were training, and they kept us in the conference room forever. And one day I'm like, "Hey guys, we need to get out to the plant. I've got a plant that's an absolute mess. You can't walk from the exterior wall to the center of the production line. You end up in a maze of material. We got to clean that plant up." And I thought that's what we're doing. And he said, whoa, slow down. He goes, "We've got to teach some of these leadership skills, because if we just go in and clean up the plant for them, in 6 weeks, it'll look just like it did before."
So true.
And so I was like, okay. So I grabbed a little patience, and through that leadership training, that was kind of the start of really getting an appetite for leadership as a concept. And
What did they give you that day? Did they give you some books to read for you and your team? Were they
one I remember was the 5 dysfunctions.
Pat Lencioni? Yeah.
Yeah, and Lencioni has some great books because they're easy reads, because he writes them in a fable format.
They're so good. I've read them all, man. They're so good.
And so then one day, Thor Group president walks in and says, "Hey, things aren't going as well as we'd hoped. We're going to merge Dutchman into Keystone. We don't really need a president, and we want you to stay on as VP of Finance. Value your role. We're not firing you." And, at that point in time, I appreciated the fact that they wanted to be on the team.
Sure.
But no matter how you slice it, I was getting fired as president.
Yeah.
That hurt. There was shame in going home and saying, "Honey, I don't have a job anymore." And, I think God stepped in and saved me, because me without a job just would have taken me off the rails. And I don't think I could have presented well and gotten a decent job.
Yeah. Because emotionally, it really wrecked you.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. What financially did your salary go up drastically from CFO to president? Were you feeling like you were?
I would. I'm going to guess here, but I'll bet in 1 year it more than doubled, not quite tripled.
Really?
So it was a big deal.
So right there is so you and your wife felt that excess of money for at least a year, and or excess or extra cash, spending cash, right?
I still had a mortgage at that point in my life. So.
Sure. And Pollywood, by the way, was not paying out massive dividends, I assume, yet.
Still haven't, not reaping any huge financial rewards
from that loan you took out, years before. So, man, you go home, they offer you the VP Finance role, and now you have this decision in front of you. How did that go?
So I told them sure, because I needed a job. The reality is, first thing I did was I got on the phone and said, "Hey, Don, if you'll have me, I'll be there as soon as you want." And at the same time, I felt like I was abandoning my team, because we had a group at Dutchman that they worked so hard turning a company around from a huge loss position to, making some money and then eking out 3% of the bottom line.
Yeah. So you felt like
hard
when your Thor boss, Thor corporate, steps in and says you're not doing as well as we'd like. Did you take offense from that? Was that like an insult to you a bit? Like you felt you had made a pretty awesome turnaround towards? I remember Dutchman was pretty low. We had done no work for Dutchman, and all of a sudden, in those years, things started happening there. You guys were growing and adding people and adding infrastructure to your plant and all that. I remember some of those jobs. I was there measuring up cranes in your plant in my early years there. So did you take offense to that almost personally? Like you felt like maybe what you and Don did wasn't as great as what you thought it was? Or how did you feel about that?
I felt like a little more patience was needed.
Yeah.
You don't just turn the Titanic around and interestingly enough, now what I know now, almost 20 years later, stepping into a situation like that, I think I could impact that a lot quicker than we did. Because at this point in my life, I was seeing how to increase sales rapidly.
Yeah.
What I hadn't figured out at that point was, how do you take plants producing low quality and how do you turn that around and produce high quality product?
Yeah.
Which is kind of the next chapter, which is
of your life.
Grand design.
Yeah. So I want to pause you there, because the Grand Design story is personal for me. I mean, I love it's one of my favorite RV stories in my career, being able to see that whole story happen. So So let's just make sure everybody gets this because we're throwing these names around. And so Don Clark was the president of Dutchman RV, leaves and joins up with the Fennick brothers, Ron and Bill, after a 1 year non compete. And I'm standing in building 1 of Grand Design in 2012, I want to say. Does that sound about right to you? Mm-hmm. And Ann Spratt was hired already at that point, and Ann went back to the Keystone days as well. And Ann called and said, "Hey, we need you over here to look at our first building, and we're going to start this company. It's going to be called Black Bear RV." That's what she told me that day. Just top secret Black Bear RV. We're gonna, and so I go back to, I have old folders on our server still that the very first plant, I think the first sale we made to Grand Design was actually under Black Bear RV. It's just crazy ironic. So we're standing there was nothing there. And this is 2012, maybe 13, whatever. And so what happened over the next 4 or 5 years is insane. And you got to be on that ride. So I want let's not mince over this story because it's epic story. So now you're on the phone. You're VP of Finance. You had a job, but you called Don Clark and said, "Hey, would you have me?" So take it from there.
So honestly, I called up Don one day and said, "Hey, have you hired a CFO yet? I've heard you're looking." But have you hired someone yet? Because I think I've got someone that you might want to work with, but I can't say who it is yet.
Yeah.
I hung up the phone with Don, and, I was just thinking on the conversation with Don, and I thought, you know what? He was not getting what I was laying down. So the next day I called him up, and I really wasn't ready to tell him. But I said, "Hey, Don, dummy, the guy I'm talking about's me." And he's like, "Oh, we were going to hire a guy on Friday if the bank and our auditors are going to meet him this week. And if he passed those meets, we're hiring that guy on Friday." So Don, God bless his heart, unwound all that. And, I called him on a Monday, called him back on a Tuesday. Wednesday, we met at his house. And kind of laid everything out and accepted the job on Wednesday, and then he unwound the hire he was going to make on Friday.
Unreal, man.
So again,
days away from missing that opportunity.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when I say that God was there taking care of me, so I didn't totally crash emotionally.
Yeah.
I was pretty razor thin.
Wow. Just in time, though.
So,
isn't he always just in time?
Yeah.
That's incredible, man. And man, that story, had you missed that, I mean, that to me is one of the most epic parts of your career. And again, it took all these steps over here to get there. But if I'm not mistaken, the numbers are this. I mean, Grand Design, Ron, Bill, and Cam, essentially, and Don. So there 4 of you guys essentially built a $500 million company in 4 years. Is that essentially what you did?
I don't know if I'm supposed to say, exactly how much, but it was somewhere around, the volume at the date of sale to Winnebago kind of escapes me.
I think
it had to be about 500.
Public numbers were Winnebago came in around the 500 million mark. Yeah. I don't know the details, but publicly it talks about 500 million. But it was in 4 years.
Yes.
And you came in just as they were starting. So I want to hear that a bit. Like, so you learned you were the president of Dutchman. So you learned some leadership. You learned some quality stuff. You learned financials and all that. I think it's one of the most epic stories in our industry, in the RV industry, is what you guys built in that short time. So, what were those crazy years like? I mean, like you jumped in. Were you a couple hundred people when you started? Was that where it was at that point?
I was employee number 100,
okay.
I think, or thereabouts, and I started on the day that we built unit number 100.
Did you really? So you were there from the beginning.
Yeah, there pretty close.
Wow, that's
what I missed was
a couple production days.
Yeah. So, and that's all a growth journey too. I mean, the message that I preached daily, the last day I was at Grand Design sounded nothing like when I first started.
Sure.
But the recognition being president of how important people are and the great power in an inspired human being.
Yeah.
It's just hard to imagine.
Yeah.
And so, then I start reading a lot. We ended up bringing in Dustin Carr to do leadership training.
I know that name. Yeah.
And Dustin's a great guy.
And that's something you were not doing in your past at StarCraft or Jayco or at Dutchman as well. But
And I would say in our industry especially, I mean, it was pretty unheard of
Yeah.
to actually spend any money on somebody coming in and doing leadership training. And at that point, I was a big John Maxwell fan.
Yeah.
Because I thought John Maxwell did a great job of talking leadership, interwoven with his faith.
Yeah.
And really, I felt like you could speak God into work without ever mentioning God.
Amen.
And
Because John teaches values, right? And they have to be biblical principles, right? But John's had a massive influence on my life as well, and in our company. It's incredible.
yeah,
And I think you can sum up John's teachings by just valuing people every day, and that's kind of polar opposite to what a lot of the RV industry was doing, especially in that era. I mean, Cam, I've been in all the plants. I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff, and Grand Design was by design, no pun intended, but Grand Design was different. It just was. When to this day, we love working with Grand Design and the team there, and because it's just been different. And you guys built an incredible culture, which, what John talks about, and I don't know, and this is probably where we got it from, and I got it from John. John teaching on that culture is everything. And so the last 4 or 5 years, we have said, because of John's influence in my life, I've said culture is what I need to work on more than anything else. I mean, he says, you fix the culture, you improve the culture, you build the culture, the rest will come. And it's like it's kind of happening for us. Like it's crazy, and it happened for you guys as well. So. And I know Dustin. I think Dustin probably uses some Maxwell stuff as well, and so we certainly do. And so it's been rewarding to see leaders grow, families growing, family trees changing, and all that. And you certainly saw a lot of that. I always joke, only the RV industry can a guy running a screw gun in the wall department make six figures and more. It's crazy. That's literally changing hundreds, thousands of people's lives and family trees in that industry. And especially if they love their job. And many of your people did enjoy their job. So that was a name that everybody recognizes is Winnebago. Winnebago comes in, you build this, and share any other leadership journeys you have in that 4-year period. But I remember just watching that from afar and saying, or maybe close up is more like it, but watching that and saying, this is insane. You guys were building plants every year, multiple plants, not back to back. I can't remember if there's 15, 16 plants now, maybe more than that. High teens probably at this point. And from day one to now where you're at now. So where you were at when you left, I guess. Talk about that journey. Anything else that you want to share that you and Don and the Phoenix learn through that, and what do you think the secret to success was for Grand Design and for Winnebago to swoop in and offer you that kind of money in that short period?
I think what we brought to the RV industry, and if you'd asked me as a much younger man, I would have said the last thing you'd ever do is start up an RV company, because starting an RV company in a mature industry, the profits have been wrung out. It's just not a great place to make money. And interestingly enough, what I learned is you can be in any industry. You just got to do it better than everyone else and be very different.
That's gold, Cam.
And so what we brought to the marketplace was higher quality, better built unit, and then also promises to the dealer and the customer of better service on the back end. And really a lot of the dealer promises were a partnership that helped the dealership be more profitable.
Wow.
And it's kind of that start of, my message that I preach is coming to work and taking care of everyone around you. And, you know, it's a lot of Bob Chapman. If you have not read Everybody Matters, that's a must read.
It is on my shelf, and I have not read it. He just passed away. Yeah.
Yeah. And I, you know, I just listened to that book again just because I felt like I needed a refresh. And I'll bet that's the fourth or fifth time that I've listened to it. And the whole concept is, you know, really, I think their tagline was, you know, we measure success in the lives we touch.
Yeah.
And so really at Grand Design, it became, we wanted to positively impact lives of every life we touched, be it our own team, vendors, dealers, and the retail customer. And so that message became very direct, and you know, it's pretty easy to get people to buy into it because we as human beings, we want to be part of something bigger than ourselves.
Amen.
And that's something, that concept is something that's really easy to want to be part of.
Yeah.
And so customers, I believe, were even drawn by that.
Amen. They felt that what you were doing was different because it was different.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And even the customer that was focused on price, we didn't attract those customers. We attract customers who believed what we believed. There's a Simon Sinek quote.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but so anyways,
And Simon and Bob did a lot of stuff together as well.
they
Yeah.
did.
Bob Chapman. So I actually visited their corporate headquarters. I met Bob's son he did a little talk with us there at a manufacturing event we were just at in St. Louis just 3 months ago. So incredible. I think they're a $4 billion company now or something. Incredible.
Yep.
So Bob's legacy is incredible, and so it's cool that I'm gonna take that as a personal challenge. I will get the book read. It's been I actually have 2 copies. Somebody gave me a copy, and I had it on my shelf already. And I'll move that to the top of the list.
Yeah.
I'll get that done ASAP. So thanks for pushing that again. So I
think
go ahead.
What I love about Bob Chapman is I mean, he starts with the heart. You still need good product, good service, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But it really starts with the heart and how you take care of people.
Yeah.
And just we as human beings, naturally, if somebody takes care of you, you want to take care of them.
You're drawn to that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you treat people badly, they probably will treat you badly. And, you know, the more I thought about that concept, I thought, wow, you know, feels like my career took a long time to take off, but I really believe it was a function of if you look at everything you do in life as a transaction, you want to execute transactions that obviously are good for you.
Yeah.
But if they're good for the other person as well,
Yeah.
those people will seek you back out in the future.
Every time.
And then by reputation, then they will tell people, and then those people will seek you out for transactions, be it personal or business, financial, whatever. And you can either sow good seeds and stuff starts coming to you, or you can always take care of yourself, and you're going to have to chase down and find opportunity.
Yeah. So true, man.
So, you know, I really love what Bob Chapman has to say about taking care of others. And so anyways, that message at Grand Design morphed and got very strong at the end. And we all believed that to varying degrees.
So that's what the question that comes in my head right now is just like, at PBI, we're teaching the same thing. The customers, we're teaching the same things. The customers is number one. I mean, we have no business without the customer. We have no business without that person that we're serving. We exist to serve the people outside these walls, right? That's what we always talk about. Man, down the front lines, the guy in shipping who misses a package of bolts or screws, the guy who's welding does a crappy weld and doesn't fix it. How did that get passed down to hundreds and hundreds of employees, whatever, I had a couple thousand employees actually. But were you able to convey that all the way down to the front line, the guy who's putting that jack on the hitch, the guy who's screwing in that window and caulking the window and doing a nice job? Because your quality was supreme, clearly. How did you actually physically do that? Did you guys have monthlies and quarterly meetings where you're talking about this stuff all the time? Did you fire leaders who didn't buy into that mindset? How did you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you had to hire good leaders and then delegate leadership.
Yeah.
We had weekly plant manager meetings. If you continue talking about quality, then people know it's important. It's not just a passing thing.
Yeah.
The interesting thing that I find, and I sat in on a lot of orientations and still did at Brinkley, but it's interesting to me to listen to people come in and say, "Why are you here to work here?" And they'll say, "Well, the culture at company A is just horrible, blah, blah, blah. And it's, my boss treated me awful and I couldn't stand it anymore. I went home feeling horrible every night." And then you'd talk to somebody else that works there and they would say, "I love company A. The culture there is so amazing," blah, 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 and get a completely different story. I think the thing you need to recognize is in that leadership change, one bad leader can make an organization look completely different.
Wow, that's gold, man.
And I think that's the hard thing about larger organizations and even small. If you get one person in there that does not share your beliefs and convictions about how to take care of other people and doesn't genuinely love their people,
Yeah.
that whole culture looks very, very different to two different people in the organization. That's sad, but it's true.
You're saying those two people are serving under two different leaders in that same company, and the story that's gold. Ironically, Cam, we yesterday had a leader that got terminated at about 3:30 yesterday. Super hard, leading a large group of people. We're buried. We're so busy. We're booked out till the end of the year, and we cannot afford to lose that. And we still decided that was under Matt, your friend Matt, but we made that call because we felt like his people were not being cared for, and the customer was also not being cared for because the quality was dropping, and all those things. And so you're right. So I think that's really, really good because I hear that all the time. Like I love working for X company. And the other guy says, "No, it's terrible. We'll dig down into that." And there's bad leadership at some level there. That's really good.
And there's a saying that, your people will never take better care of the customer than you take care of them.
Amen.
And boy, is that true.
It's so true.
And you find someone who's not been led well, and they'll literally almost kick the customer.
Yeah.
And which is the craziest thing in the world.
Yeah. Biting the hand that feeds you, right? That's crazy. So Winnebago comes in, buys out Grand Design, and you didn't leave immediately. You were there for a number of years after the buyout.
Stayed for just shy of 10 years total, and I think we sold at the end of year 4.
Sure.
So I was there for almost 6 years in. And then at that point, the couple of my teammates in sales, Nate Goldenberg and Mike Staley, were going to set out their non-compete and then start another RV company. And Ron Fennick and Bill Fennick went with those guys and really were the financial backing for that. I felt a little bit like Benedict Arnold quitting, so I hung on a year beyond when they quit, and really, I love Grand Design, love the people. Not saying that was right or wrong, just different. Have more of an entrepreneurial style of management. To me, and if you put it in terms, it's guerrilla warfare.
Yeah.
I don't like a sheet full of rules.
Yeah.
I fly by the seat of my pants, and it's very common sense.
Yeah. Which is also why you guys got where you did. You're alluding to the fact that working for a publicly traded company as large as Winnebago, it's just going to be different, right?
It's going to be different.
But it was hard on you. I mean, you lasted for 6 years into that.
Yeah.
I mean,
And but recognizing that the larger an organization becomes, the more structure there typically is. Now, as I've matured, I believe there's ways to get there and empower leadership to make good decisions, as opposed to giving them a list of rules and a handbook.
yeah.
Common sense and loving people goes a long, long way.
It does.
Now, I get that some, ultimate leaders may not want to trust leaders to that extent, but the reality is, my opinion and how I want to run business is I want to trust who's leading for me, and if they're not leading right, then we will have a discussion. Try to be gentle and mentoring with that discussion, but at some point, if somebody doesn't fall in line with how you believe and how you want to take care of people, they don't get the privilege of being on the team.
Amen. Amen.
The other thing we talk about culture is, and I would sometimes miss this because I would get so honed in on talking about cultures, we had exceedingly high standards for performance and product. But man, when you marry that with the high culture and the high standards for performance, it is magic.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
So,
and you guys clearly had, you in your case, your customer was actually dealers. How do you make all these promises of being better to all these dealers? And then my biggest question is, and you answered it already, but just that, how do you have people all the way down the chain, dealer services who are handling with warranty problems, whatever? How do you make them feel? How do you have them hold up to that standard that you have promised to that dealer, when you were encouraging them to maybe leave this other brand or this other line and come to your side, and so it's great month 1, month 2, but year 4, year 7, how do you have those guys hang on? How do you serve that customer every day with growing and doubling and tripling and 10xing your business and still having those guys on the front lines caring? That's an art that I'm still learning. I mean, we as we've grown in a small way compared to what you've done, but as we've grown, it's been a challenge. I mean, the guy out there installing the crane in a Grand Design plant, does he care as much as I do? How do I get him to care as much as I do? And the service guy fixing that hoist that doesn't work, how do we get him to care at that level? And it's been a challenge. But we keep preaching the same things you're talking about, and I've learned a lot from watching you guys and your story in that. So yeah.
The more you can connect the customer experience to your people who are actually building the product, the more effective that is, because when they can see and feel the pain of the customer or the elation because the product's right, super fulfilling.
So you're sharing stories.
Yeah,
you're sharing stories and reviews and reading off emails to the whole team, whatever that might be.
Then we have something that's common in our industry is customer rallies. So customers will come in with their RV and be there for a week and do programs and training, education, and some things like
plant
that.
Tours, I assume.
Tours.
Yeah.
And the more of our people we could connect with that customer and hear that customer firsthand, because anytime you have someone that says, they said this should be better, you just don't take that to heart as much. But if you actually hear it come out of the customer's mouth and the customer's exasperated because you're just doing something dumb with the product, you get immediate traction with the employee to make it better. Yeah.
That's really, I need to work on that. And we do share we call the raving fan emails, that we get, or the messages we get. We'll read some Google reviews sometimes, that we get in our monthly meetings. But I can do better at that. That's a really good reminder. I need to write that down, Braxton. So that's really good. So you're Grand Design for a decade. You build this awesome, amazing company, and then the Phoenix. They've sold out. Them and Nate Goldberg and Micah Staley are starting this brand new. You kind of get like your last dance here.
That's actually what they called the real estate company. It was Last Dance LLC.
Love it.
Yeah. So
Brinkley's been another fantastic story. So tell us a little bit about what the last few years have been starting up Brinkley RV.
So I joined that team, and basically I said, I'll give you at least 2 years, but I'm getting old and the tank is getting empty.
Sure.
And I have things that I have neglected in my life, honestly, that I need to make sure they have top priority. Yeah. And I know myself, and I'm a bit like a drug addict. If I get too immersed in something like a business, that takes all of my first attention.
Yeah.
And it's a character flaw. Yeah. It can create some good outcomes, but it also has some bad outcomes. So I want to be in a position where if one of my daughters calls up and says, "You want to have lunch?" I can go have lunch. But went with, followed Nate Micah, and Ryan Twaits was the third operating partner, and worked with Ryan at Dutchman and had known Ryan since he was in high school.
Wow.
He was 4 years older than my oldest daughter. Great young man. So they start this up, and so for a couple years, I had no one reporting to me. I had no. My title was super generic, vice president. I was like, of what?
Of what?
And some days I did a great job of showing up and really driving value into the business. And then there were other days where, because I didn't have clear responsibilities, it was just harder to stay locked in and intense. And so in some respects, I feel bad because I don't feel like I gave them my best.
Sure. But there is it John? John's the CFO there.
John Schmidlin.
Schmidlin, I met him.
Great young man.
And don't be hard on yourself. I think you've probably helped him and coached him a lot as well, and probably just added value in different places that are a little harder to nail down compared to your years at Grand Design. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, as you go through life, your role changes, and really my role now is mentor and not executing on things. And
100%.
So it's a different sort of feeling. But yeah, I really enjoyed the time there, because literally I spent my entire day going to work and preaching what I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
What could be more fulfilling than that?
100%. It sounds like you had some real latitude to walk through the plan if you wanted to, and push some buttons here and talk to people, and you knew these guys really well. I'm assuming the Fenwick's weren't extremely involved day to day there as well. It was mainly Ryan and Nate.
Ryan, Nate, Micah were
really running the show there.
Daily involved. Yeah. Ron was more engaged. And would run weekly meetings with those three guys. Yeah. And really the goal is to teach them to mature into ultimate leaders in a business, because at Grand Design, they ran sales. They didn't run the whole organization.
Yes. Quite different, as you learned at Dutchman, right?
Yeah, because, a sale doesn't mean anything left at the bottom line to pay the bills.
100%.
So, I really think, they're at a stage in their career where they're having great success. They are high talent. I love these young guys. But, they've got some maturing to do yet. Mm-hmm. And I've always said that, in times of high stress, you kind of show your true colors. Mm-hmm. And, right now is high stress in the RV industry. It is not a great place to be right now. And I'm hoping that none of these high bars for character and behavior don't wax and wane with the financial climate. Yep. And because it is easy to get under the financial pressures of making ends meet, and all of a sudden you're not taking care of people the way you should. And
your values also, take the back seat, and that's no good.
It's terrible.
We just discussed that yesterday with one of my leaders, actually, just talking about making sure that during we're we're actually on the other side of the fence right now. We've diversified a lot out of the RV industry, as you know. We're doing a lot for the RV industry currently. I was just at a Jayco plant on Friday. We did a plant tour, big grand opening for one of the plants that we just got done with. Anyhow, so but on the other side, there's a lot of plants that are slow, a lot of companies that are slow. But we're so busy that we're hiring people at a rate that's almost too fast, and we have the chance of culture, the stuff on the wall here, waning as well. And so we just discussed that yesterday. And in the course of being so busy and on that path, you can on both sides of the spectrum, busy or slow, your values can tend to take a back seat, and that's not what we want to do ever.
And sometimes it's not even your values slipping; it's you stop sharing them. Because if you're not constantly talking about it, then people don't think it's important.
Yeah. So. Wow, Cam. So good stuff, man. What a career story. Tell me what you're doing. So you're a little free now. You're not at Brinkley daily anymore. You stop in there every now and then, I'm sure. But what does success look today? How has your priorities shifted? That was one of my questions for you. Was what's shifted in your priorities? Family, health, all those things. What's happening today? I know you have. I know you're humble. You're not going to brag about anything, but you've got a couple of vacation homes. You guys are traveling quite a bit. It was hard to even get you on the podcast because you're traveling a lot, and I love to see that. So tell me a bit about what's fun for you right now.
First of all, my wife and I love traveling, but we need to travel a little bit less. When you come home from a trip and then you leave in 10 days for the next trip, it's like, I just want to be home.
Yeah.
God's blessed me and more than I deserve, and I've got a great little rec center at the house with tennis courts, pickleball.
Love it.
Basketball, full court basketball, and a racquetball court, which I've wanted since I was 30 years old. And so I spent a lot of time out there, and, the next door neighbor retired, even though he's young, and he comes over and we work out together almost every weekday. And
I love that.
That's been a godsend. And so, I'm focused on taking care of myself, because you wake up one day and you realize that the body you have is not going to last forever. And then you also, relationships that you take for granted, sadly enough, you don't think you are when you're younger. But priorities pull you in different directions, and you're a human being. You make bad decisions. And you think money is more important than it really is. Now, with that being said, you do get some reinforcement from people in your life that, having some money and being able to do some things is a good thing. So, but again,
sharing experiences, things like that, you can do if you have a little money. Yeah.
But again, you living your values out exactly, perfect. No one's going to do it. Yeah. And so anyways, and I already said, I've got some addictive sort of behaviors, and so it's easy for me to stray off the path. So trying to spend a lot of time with family. The kids are grown up or growing up, because they range from 40 to 17, and there's 6 of them. And then the grandkids are 17 to 2 years old, and there's one on the way. And
what an exciting time, though, man. That's great. Do your kids live local now?
All but one. One lives in Boise, Idaho, and he just left this morning to hop on the plane and head home.
Nice.
So we had a nice visit with him.
Oh, good.
There's enough kids and grandkids, I will tell you. It was time. I love him. Yeah. Time for him to go home, because we're all getting together in one house every night. And there's a lot of chaos when you have that many people.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So I need a rest, but love the kids, and like I said, there's a lot of forgiveness there, and fortunately, because I look back and I wasn't the father I really wished I'd been through the whole thing, but
I love how intentional you're being, though, Cam. At this stage, though, you're not perfect. None of us are perfect, but I love how intentional you're being, and how honest you are about that. And I'm assuming that you're honest with your kids as well. My dad always did a good job of asking for forgiveness. My dad wasn't perfect either. I always had the best dad in the world, but part of that was because he was so humble about just saying, hey, look, I know I raised my voice last night. That was wrong. My bad. What you did really wasn't that big of a deal. I shouldn't have. I know you wrecked my truck, but it's okay. It's just a truck. And I did wreck a couple of his trucks. So so I learned from that and say, man, when I'm wrong, even now, man, hey, I did that to my son last week. I got a gift I got a gift in the mail from a friend of mine. It was a pretty big deal. And my son was messing with it and kind of screwed it up. My 18-year-old son. It was actually a photo. It's actually from John Maxwell, and so John's team sent me this gift with preloaded photos on this screen, and I was like, it was cool. And I'm trying to get hooked up, and I leave the room for a little bit, and he comes in and tries to hook up his own phone, syncing it to this, and trying to load his own photos. And I walked up to the screen, and it says erasing content. I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. So I yelled at him. I was like, what are you doing, Brock? So that later that night I went up, he was in bed. I said, hey, I sat down, my 18-year-old son sat down and said, look, that was stupid. We'll figure it out. I'm gonna fix it. It's not a big deal. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Does that stupid picture frame matter more than my son's relationship? Do I have to yell at him for that? No, I don't. So I'm thankful along with you that there's forgiveness, and you're in that stage where you're looking through across your whole life, and you see some of those failures, and you're recognizing that. So I love that. Yeah.
It's
so you're vacationing, you're traveling. You and your wife enjoy some of the same things there. I mean, that's been good, or does she like traveling more than you? And she's booking the cruises, and you want to stay home.
Starting to figure out that she likes traveling more than I do, but I think she's ready to slow down a little bit. Like seeing things we've never seen before. Went to Greece on a small sailboat with four other couples, and
I bet that was cool.
And it's fascinating to see the ruins and all of those things in Athens. But the more fascinating thing is meeting people, and what you realize when you start traveling is human beings across this globe are pretty much alike. We just want to have happy, fulfilled lives and take care of our families.
You're right.
And I'm going to flip back into the Bob Chapman thing again, and he talks ad nauseum almost about taking care of people so that they go home and they're in better shape to take care of their family.
So true, man.
And one of the things I liked that he said was, the biggest contribution you can make as a company isn't necessarily a huge United Way contribution. It is caring for your employees in a way that they go home and they take good care of their families and are better husbands, wives, mothers, fathers.
Wow.
Creating better families. And that's your biggest impact you can make on the community.
That's gold, Cam.
And
that is so good. It's so true. How about a community changing when you as a leader, I know that Billy Graham on his deathbed talked to John Maxwell. He said, man, John, I'm telling you the difference, the next generation of kingdom building is going to come through the business world. And it's kingdom-minded business owners and leaders who are changing the family trees of the people who are working for them and making better husbands, fathers, leaders. And I when I heard that story, I was like, man, that's what I think. That's my calling. And my calling is to make Braxton and Braxton's life's family. And Braxton has kid number 2 on the way, right? And so he's getting a young family. I want to make sure that these 237 people that are on our staff right now today all feel the difference that's happening at PBY. And I'm learning from guys like you who have done it so well, man. So,
that whole concept is, he called it, instead of working your business to do good work in the community, instead you go to work, your business does good work.
Love it.
And, he said something also that, sorry, I just read this book, so it's all fresh.
I love it.
But
for the 5th time, let's not be.
Yeah. But he talks about his pastor having 1 hour a week to make impact on the congregation.
Yeah.
And his epiphany was, we've got 40 hours a week to influence and impact our people's lives.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing with those 40 hours?
Yeah.
And I think that is really where my career really took a hard pivot, where I adopted that philosophy that, we go to work for 40 hours a week or more to impact the lives of others.
Yeah. So good. So good. That's our calling. That's our calling as kingdom-minded business leaders. That is our calling. And it doesn't matter what level we're at, right? So it's the guy with a construction crew and an F-450 and 4 guys in the back of the truck. He's influencing those 4 people, right? Yeah. And so to our listeners today, who are, regardless of where you're at today in your business, all this stuff, it doesn't. You don't have to have 240 employees or 1,240 employees or 2,000 employees. In all the stuff that Cam's been doing, but man, wherever you're at today, that's how you will influence the culture, the people that you're working with every day. Cam, thanks so much for joining us today, man. Really enjoyed. I've talked to you. We've had lunch before. I learned more today than I ever have from your story, from just the values that just kind of ooze out of who you are, man. It's incredible.
It's kind of, I know you're winding down, but I think one of the things we talked about before we got started was how do you scale your business, no matter what the business, and it's something I give a lot of thought to because I've got friends in the construction trades, and like if you're a home builder, I mean, how do you grow your business to become a $200 million contractor?
Yeah, how do you do that?
That's hard. So you either spread geographically, or as the contractor, you buy related trades to your business, like an overhead door company,
right,
or electric, plumbing, and heating. So we talk about things like that a lot, and I think one of the things I did learn, and Don Clark told me this: if you're whatever you do, you're gonna work hard at. You might as well work at something that you can make some money.
Wow, that's good.
Not terrible advice. Now there are things more noble than making money, but nonetheless, he is right. And I think there's always a way to look at your business and scale it up so that it can be larger and have higher impact.
Amen.
And so it doesn't matter what that business is. You really got to spend some time daydreaming and dream big.
Yeah.
I think you said that early on in our conversation, but you got to dream big and think about how you can stretch your business. And typically it's one of 2 ways. You either stretch it geographically and have to figure that out, or you got to increase your product offering.
Yeah.
Or reach a larger segment for your customer base. So that one's really difficult, and it takes a lot of ingenuity, I think, to get there. But
I think that resonates with our listeners, though, because I think you just gave some really easy, 2 or 3 easy ways there to scale your business. I like the of bringing things back in house. You can start doing your own garage doors. You can start doing your own electrical, and that's one way to scale your business. Yeah. We've done it geographically. We've decided, we are good. We've kind of figured out what we think we're the best at in the world: cranes, mezzanines, and fall protection, and that's what we do well at. Rather than doing everything for everybody, let's just do those 3 things for everybody across the country. And we're just been so blessed to work for people like SpaceX and Caterpillar and Ford and Grand Design and Brinkley and all. But we're doing the same things. We're doing the same things, and we've done it that way. But I'm intrigued with the other ways you mentioned, and we keep talking about, building, bringing infrastructure in house, like bringing more control into our process. What if we would do an acquisition here to bring this in-house for us? And we've done a few of those little things, and so we kind of are dancing with the idea of an acquisition, Cam, and I think I've shared some of that with you. We're looking at those things all the time, but there's multiple ways to grow your business and scale it, like you said. But go back to Bob Chapman and say, forget about scaling if you're not going to care for your people, right? I still say scaling happens just organically when you're growing people and taking care of your people. it just somehow happens. And it's like a favor from God, but it's like when you have good people on the team who are thinking big and taking care of their people, guess what? The customers also get taken care of as well. Right. And you get more sales because they want to be part of what's going on here. Right. So I love that.
Like your business is a great example though, as you expand geographically. I mean, you can build some of the stuff in your shop, but then you got to figure out how to do the install and service.
That's right. That's right.
And so that's really your hurdle and how you tackle that.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is why we're doing branches. I don't know if you even know this, but we just launched a branch in South Carolina, and we have our branch manager from Pennsylvania that's here this week, actually getting training this week, launching the branch. Just bought a building in Pennsylvania, and we're starting branch 2 this month. So that's been fun. And what that allows us to do is design, engineer, and manufacture the products here, but there'll be a small 5 to 7 man team at each branch. And we're thinking maybe a dozen. We're working on this plan around the country in these hot spots of business we've created that God has blessed us with. And so then that small team can really do a lot of business there. They can sell, they can install what we're delivering to them, and they can service it. And I think the customer in Pennsylvania then gets a better experience from us. And we're already doing a lot of work in Lancaster County, a lot of manufacturing happening there, and out to Philadelphia, Harrisburg. But yeah, there's a lot going on there. But man, how much better will they be served when there's a dude in an F-250, come out to service their crane that's an hour away. That's the goal. So that's what Mike Woodward is trying to build right now. He's hired and trained and building a team in Pennsylvania right now. So
and when you think about your impact on the world and your organization's impact on the world, I mean, think about what you just said there. South Carolina, you have a branch, and as you add more branches, and if you start really doing the math on the number of employees you have and how many people in their family you're impacting, and then the vendors that you work with and how many of those people you impact lives and how many customers you touch, and you start adding that all up, and the number of people you touch ends up having more than one comma in it fairly quick. And it's really pretty intriguing, and hopefully you feel some sense of responsibility when you think of it in those terms, because that's what you were put on earth here to do.
Amen.
And we have more impact than we realize.
You're right. You're right. Thanks for that encouragement. I appreciate that. The challenge with, you said as you get bigger, the people get further. The people on the front line get further away at times, and so what we've just really committed to is these monthly all-employee meetings. And so now it was no big deal a year ago, 2 years ago, but now that we have people traveling, we have some engineers around the country now that are W-2 employees, and so we still make a big deal. So now we started live streaming these all-employee meetings. There's still a couple hundred people in the room, but then there's people. The branches are required to hop on their iPads, log in, and watch that live with us, so they feel like they're part of what we're doing here. I'm trying to keep preaching this message of caring for people, caring for our team, and hoping that we don't lose ground as we grow. That would probably make it all in vain to me. I don't think I don't want to lessen our impact by growing, and but it just gets more challenging, right? So you use technology to use different means to do that. So
I would encourage you. I mean, even though you get tired of preaching it, you've got to keep preaching it. I mean, I used to joke that, I'm going to say it again. This is who we are. Yeah. Sorry, I'm going to tell you again. I say this so often, I even get tired of listening to me. So I know you are.
For sure.
but you got to keep preaching that, or it's not important to your people. And
you'd think, I call myself the chief repeating officer many times, the CRO, right? And you think, man, I've beat the horse till it's dead, and then I'll still have somebody go, hey, how are we doing that? What's our stance on this? I'm like, how do you not, so you just keep preaching it, right? And there's always new people being hired, so there's always that reason to do it, for sure. And those new people coming in, culture-wise, I always tell them at our new hire orientation lunches that we do is all the new hires get to do a lunch with me. I spend 3 hours with them talking about culture and faith and family and what really matters and all that. I always tell them that if you like what you saw when you got here, like, don't screw it up, because you're the newbies that are coming in, and if there's a culture shift, it's probably going to happen from the new people coming in that are making changes that are not feeling who we are. And so we make a big deal about the 90-day thing. If you're here for 90 days and like it's not working, it's not gelling, then we probably will show you the door, because we want to protect the culture above all else. And man, you got me all excited about reading Bob Chapman now. I'm gonna go grab that book. That's next in line for me, man. So,
and they, I'm glad to hear you do something with every new hire. I think that's really important on the way in, that they hear from the very top of the organization what's important, and hopefully your leaders are also setting expectations and standards in the interview.
Yes,
that is the best time.
Yeah.
To start that. And,
I believe they are. I believe that's happening. I don't do a lot of interviews, but I know Austin, head of HR, is huge on culture. He's the biggest. He's my biggest supporter in culture. A great guy, and does a really good job taking care of our people. I think they feel like Braxton is nodding his head over there. I think he could tell you that they do feel cared for by Austin and Austin's team. So.
I just had a phrase. It's an honor and a privilege to be on this team, and if you can't respect that, you don't get to be on the team.
That's good. That's really good.
And it's not to be harsh, but that's the way it is. And if you don't hold that standard, your culture will fail.
Yeah,
and can fail a lot quicker than you think.
And as I mentioned, we had to make that tough call just yesterday, and it was a hard day for some of us yesterday, and saying goodbye to that leader. But it was the right move. And so I wish, and what was cool is that I know a number of different people in my office. It happened in my office. It happened in few other offices where we just stopped and prayed for this leader. So look, Lord, bless him with his next career opportunity. Pray that he could find a place where he could fit a little better, and even learns a lesson from this a bit and grows up. He's young, so he'll be fine. He'll be just fine. But we do wish him the best, and there's no anger with that at all. It's just simply there's a line there, and when we cross that line, we make a tough decision at times. So
human beings are pretty stubborn. Some of us, it takes a big event like that to open our eyes. So hopefully that's something he learns from.
Amen. So remember, listeners, we know it's not easy. Cam and I have been through the fire. He's been through a little more fire than I have. But whatever you're fighting for out there, whether it's a home builder who's trying to go from $2 million to $200 million, take care of your people. What Cam shared with us today is absolute gold. And Cam's been through the fire as at different levels of leadership and 4 or 5 different companies. So many days it feels like you truly are in the fire. You're in the forge, as we're discussing today. So being an entrepreneur is hard. Every day brings new challenges. It also brings new opportunities to care for your people. So don't give up. Stay strong. And I'm so glad you listened to us today on this conversation. Thank you for joining us on The Forge.